Sweta.
Hello and greetings to all the people and namaskar. I was in a very small town called Jamnagar in Gujarat
Scientists and experts like you say that every experience
and not even the age of 9, In fact, the parental behavior is directly mirrored by children.
how can parents consciously support and strengthen their child's
Wonderful question, Rajalakshmi. It's a beautiful question. So, prefrontal cortex of the brain is all.
how can calm communication, loving words positively influence and strengthen a child's brain?
I make it into a story of how truth saves you. How, if I am giving some characters, because children think in images.
In one sentence, what does a child truly need most from a parent?
Psychological safety, that come whatever be, I am there, my parents are there with me. That's all that a child needs.
Today, we are honored to have with us an extraordinary personality who beautifully blends neuroscience, spirituality, emotional well-being, and human connection. Dr. Sweta Adatia. Dr. Sweta Adatia is a renowned neurologist currently serving at Gagash Hospital, Dubai, with expertise in stroke and migraine management. A gold medalist with multiple awards in medicine and neurology, and she has touched more than 50,000 lives across 5 continents through her healing, teaching, and research. What I personally find inspiring is that her journey goes far beyond medicine. From pursuing an MBA at University of Cambridge to exploring neuroscience, emotional well-being, career guidance, spirituality, hypnotherapy, and even past life regression with brainwaves, her life reflects deep curiosity and continuous learning. She is also the author of Future Ready Now, helping parents and children understand future careers through brain strengths and natural abilities. Today's conversation is going to be very special because we are not just talking about the brain but also about parenting, emotions, relationships, healing, and conscious living. Welcome, Dr. Sweta. It's such a pleasure to have you with us today. Since you come from a family of doctors, I'm curious to know, was becoming a doctor always your own dream and passion, or did your parents also influence the journey in some way? And later, despite already being successful in medicine, what made you explore a completely different path by pursuing an MBA at University of Cambridge? Did this phase of self-exploration inspire you to write Future Ready Now, helping parents understand their children's natural brain strengths and future career possibilities?
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Rajalakshmi. So, hello and greetings to all the people and namaskar to whoever is watching us as well. So, no, medicine was never my first choice. There are two kinds of marriages in India, right? Love marriage and arranged marriage. So, there are two kinds of careers, love career and arranged career. For me, it was an arranged career because I got a lot of marks, don't know where to go, what to do. And I was in a very small town called Jamnagar in Gujarat, and we did not have much options then, back then, 25, 30 years backtracking. So I said, okay, let me try medicine. So I went with the pretext of trying medicine, but I told my parents that if I don't like, I'll exit it. And that was the condition. But then eventually, my very first class of embryology, that how a little ovum and how sperm converts into a zygote and then the entire baby is formed, that sort of took me, completely away and said, wow, this is mind blowing. I think I should continue this journey to understand who is behind the scene for all this, like who has made this beautiful bones and flesh. And so it was rather of a spiritual moment, let me put it that way, in the medical school, then the real medicine study, and then I continued 5 years of MBBS, 1 year of internship, 1 year of pre-medicine, 3 years of medicine, 1 year of pre-neurology, 3 years of neurology, 2 years of stroke, and it was a long journey then. But understanding the brain, the moment I came into neurology, wow, that was fascinating because there cannot be a better thing than brain, and that was the best thing that happened to me. Although when I completed that and I was just about to finish my fellowship from University of Calgary in Canada. And interestingly enough, I again had a thought that, am I on the right track? Where am I going? What really is happening? What is the best modality for me in terms of career? Do I go into research? Do I go into practice? Do I go back to India? And that was going on in my mind. It's like minus 40 degrees Celsius outside in Canada. I'm sipping a cup of coffee and something told me inside that why don't I go ahead and get some more insights into what is the best way way to choose a career? What is the best scientific way of analyzing how can you do in your career? So then I started to go through all the psychometric tools, multiple coaches I approached. I started to see what is helping me, what kind of a personality I have, what is my psychometric makeup, what is my neurometric makeup, what can I do best. And slowly, I never realized, but I spent thousands and thousands of dollars doing that, and 6 months into it. And finally, somewhere, one or two tools were beautiful and that struck a chord with me. And those tools very clearly mentioned that I am a person who loves to create something, who loves to invent something, who loves to be at the forefront of work where people gets benefited. And that was a huge eye opening, because that led me to my next set of journey, that if I have this vision and if I have this talent, which means I can work at scale, I can work at many more people's benefit rather than sitting in a clinic and just seeing a few patients. I think that was where the seed for an MBA at some point was born. And I always wanted to help people at scale. People think MBA is just business, but I think for a doctor or a healthcare professional, MBA gives that holistic skills to understand the industries, to understand how to talk to people, to understand and give you the context of how can you do even a social enterprise at a large scale. And that was MBA, which I got from Cambridge. But yes, in this entire journey, what happened was, as I was preparing for my own brain to understand what can go right, what can go wrong, what path to choose, and I started to do so much of research that it became the sort of pivotal force for Future Ready Now. And so many years back itself, I had already read books about 2030 showcasing AI and 2040 showcasing all the nuanced careers. So it was way back in 2010 when nobody knew also what an AI was, or what sort of a world would entail. But I had an intensive deep research about all of this. And somewhere I also realized that if I make a tool, if I'm able to bring to the world a tool which is holistic, which is associating with the child's like interests, passion, skills, abilities, brain preferences, most important is brain preferences. If the parents are able to formulate this sort of a formula, then career choice will become very easy. And that was the starting point for Future Ready Now. And in that process, I met a couple of amazing mentors. Dr. Cobus Neethling has been one of my first mentors in that journey. He is a Guinness Book of World Record holder for writing a book in 4 minutes. He's exceptionally creative, amazing guy, used to be based out of Philadelphia and now moved to South Africa. So he was instrumental in also providing me a couple of instruments called Neethling Brain Inventories, which then we studied deeper in Future Ready Now. And that's how our Decode My Brain was born. And Decode My Brain's vision was to serve people like me. Even after so many years and so many degrees, I thought, oh, hey, where am I going? I need to be in the right profession. So it serves these kind of people who are confused.
Amazing, man. Scientists and experts like you say that every experience, whether good or bad, from parents can shape and wire a child's brain. Nowadays, many parents are going through stress, mental overload, poor memory, and even early signs of dementia, specifically middle-aged parents. Experts also say that over time, how does stressed parents' mental and emotional state affect a child's brain development, emotions, and behavior, especially after the age of 9, man?
Not even the age of 9. In fact, the parental behavior is directly mirrored by children. Parental well-being is directly mirrored by children's well-being. Parental emotions are mirrored by children's emotions. So parent as a parent to be showcasing strength, to be showcasing the values, to be showcasing the best of their being is very important for the child's brain because the child's brain is constantly only feeling and sensing. It is not so much thinking. At 0 to 7, there's only this slow theta which is going on, which is more subconscious. So it is more about feeling and sensing. Now, they don't have a rational explanation. For example, two parents, there was a fight between the mother and the father. Now, the child does not understand that the reason behind the fight because that logical brain is still not developed. So the child senses and feels some insecurity. The child senses and feels that threat, that something is not right, something is not correct. And that itself can carve a stress for the child. And then I think what happens for parents as well, and nowadays, gone are the days when there used to be early parenting. So the initial days, 21, 22, you would be a parent. And now you're not even a parent until 35, 36. So you are already at a peak of your career. There's lots of demands from job. There's lots of other demands. It's a VUCA world that we are living in. It's a volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous world. Suddenly, there's so much of things happening in a parent's life, and then the parent also has a kid, to raise. So currently, in the current generation, I feel it is more, kids have become more like projects, so project to complete rather than really having the benefit of parenting and rearing that soul with to make that soul flower into the best potentials and possibilities. Unfortunately, that is because of the external situations and lots of pressure. My best advice to a parent always is that, look, you outside things you cannot control, but within the family, how are you behaving with each other? How are you showcasing your time with the child? What is that quality that you are bringing in the conversations? What is the vocabulary that you are bringing in? What is that touch, sense, feeling, the five senses that you are giving to the child? All this is in your control. So you cannot just give a dead thing, a phone, and then say that, hey, this is it, and you can shut your mouth up. But you're not shutting the mouth up, you're shutting the brain up, and I think that is where most of the parenting goes wrong, I feel.
The prefrontal cortex, which controls executive functions like decision making, emotional regulation, focus, discipline, and problem solving, is said to be highly trainable during childhood. But many feel the current education system is not focusing enough on developing these life skills. How can parents consciously support and strengthen their child's executive functioning skills at home?
Wonderful question, Rajalakshmi. It's a beautiful question. So prefrontal cortex of the brain is all that matters, for life. Now, this prefrontal cortex, we can say that it's like a headlight. So if I'm driving a car and it's fairly dark, I need bright lights. It allows me to navigate. It allows me to cross over if there is any hurdles. It allows me to see things clearly way out across a few kilometers. Exactly same way, the prefrontal cortex allows me to decide what is happening in future. It allows me to have executive functions. It allows me to have mood control, emotional regulation. And when we study peak performers, people think that peak performance is about more effort and more work and hard this. No, peak performance is rather about deep emotional regulation. Peak performance is about resilience. Peak performance is about the attitude of never give up. So all these factors come in only from the prefrontal cortex, and the best time for the prefrontal cortex is starting anywhere from this 8-9 years onwards until about 24, because this is the time we also call certain times as critical window opportunities. These are opportunities when you are shaping not just the brain, because you're shaping the outcomes related to that brain even later in life. So if you build that prefrontal cortex well, that can serve this child for all the errands that the child is going to do in future. For example, if a child is failing, let us say that the child didn't perform well. Now there are two things which can happen. The child can feel sad, depressed, and then have aversion towards that subject, or the child just walks up and says, hey, this is a challenge for me and next time I'm going to do this better. That is what the prefrontal cortex's neuroplasticity is all about. Now today it was only about subject exam, it was only in a limited setup, but tomorrow it will be the life's exam which will come in the life exam. You don't know where what happens. This reminds me, there's a game of cricket, right, when a batsman is playing the cricket and the bowler is bowling the ball, and then the batsman knows that bowler is only going to bowl, and that's it. That is cricket. Now in the life's cricket, even a wicket keeper can bowl, even a fielder can bowl. You don't know where that ball is going to come from, and that is what the preparedness towards the life is, what comes from this prefrontal cortex. So neuroplasticity is a big word, which is your brain is constantly changing, your brain is growing, your brain has a capability to take in experiences, build according to the experiences and all, which is great, which is what we want. But at these critical window of opportunities, if things go wrong, then you also shape it into the negative side of it, and you can in fact have the prefrontal cortex immature, you can have prefrontal cortex not fully developed, and that is what then later in life can hurt these kids. And this is all trainable. The beauty is, in fact, in one of our T1 Super Brain programs, we have 50 hours of coaching for these youngsters, 14 to 18, and all we are doing is we are teaching resilience. We are talking about how executive functions happen, what are the decision making abilities of the brain, a good decision, what happens when you are not in the right situations. So all these are real life issues we have to, as parents, as teachers, as educators, develop these children for.
Nowadays, connection before correction is becoming a popular parenting approach. From a neuroscience perspective, how does emotional connection between parent and child support the release of serotonin and dopamine and help children feel emotionally secure?
Now, before we met and we started this conversation, we had an informal conversation, right? How do I know Rajalakshmi? Does Rajalakshmi know Sweta? So it is always that connection which is very important because we are social beings. We are not robots. We were never programmed to do a task and then, finish, the task is over and back. No. We were always programmed to be living in communities. Our brains have been wired for social connection. In fact, our brains are so heavily wired that if you isolate somebody, let's say there is social isolation, if you allow the person to be in one room, there is no contact of any kind for months together, you can indeed see shrinkage of the brain. You can see a massive atrophy of the brain happening. And these are now illegal experiments, but in the past we have seen these kind of experiments done where we have seen that there is atrophy, there is pruning, there is cut down of all the brain functions with isolation. So we were never ever born for isolation. So social connection is sort of the fundamental signature for us. Now, when you are connected to a child, when you're bonded to a child, that safety, psychological safety comes in. That yes, I may do something wrong, but I will not be abandoned. I may not be accepting the expectation what I'm supposed to be fulfilling, but I will not be left alone. So I'm always understood. I'm always cared for, come what may. So that psychological safety is the key, and that only comes with connection. So even if I have to correct a child, I cannot be robotic, I cannot be unemotional, I cannot be just correcting it for the sake of correction, because that will not be taken by the brain. But the moment the brain understands that it's for my good, there is some deeper purpose into this, it is for my benefit, then the brain accepts it. So that's why connection before correction always, in any case, not just why it is limited to only parenting. In fact, it applies to even a boss-employee relationship. It applies to two colleagues. It applies to two friends, because without that connection and safety, the brain only works on one area of the brain, which is called amygdala. So amygdala is one little structure inside, which is like a threat scanning center. It is always scanning. Oh, is there a threat coming from there? Is there a threat coming from there? And the moment it is under that pressure, that I am under pressure, I am under that threat, it will always be active. Once that is active, my prefrontal cortex shuts, which means now I do not think rationally. I cannot see things. I cannot decide. I'm completely shut. I'm blank. I'm frozen. So by no means in any relationship, in any kind of circumstances, we should have this amygdala fire up multiple times. The moment that happens, you have lost that deal. You have lost that connection. You have lost that opportunity. You have lost that beautiful future. You have lost that possibility. You've lost that probability. So all gets lost literally just merely by not understanding this fundamental of what you beautifully mentioned.
Adolescence is often a phase where teenagers naturally resist or oppose their parents. How can parents build heart-brain coherence and maintain emotional connection instead of constant conflict during these years?
We all have gone through that, right? I mean, I was an arrogant teenager. I was very difficult to handle teenager by my parents. And we all, because that is not in our control. It's a hormonal burst. So much of brain exposure is there, that risk, the exploration of life comes in. Peer pressure start to build. Self-identity is coming there. I want to show to the world who I am. If I am connected to peers and if I am accepted in the group, then I'm better. So all this is coming during the age of teenage. So between 13 and 17, 18, it's a tough time. It's not a teenage time for parents. It's a teen A time. It is difficult because they are going through also their own problems. And now we do go for, let's say, there are so many speech. So I want to build my speech. So I go to a speech center. I want to develop my confidence. I go to a confidence coach. I want to develop my, let's say, problem solving abilities. I go to that coach. But parents never go to a coach, right? Parents feel very threatened by that word called coach. They think that I become a parent, so there's a license to parenting. No, there is a method to parent. There is an entire science to parenting. There is a way in which you can understand the child of the brain. And we have multiple tools for that, right? We have our very important tool called Decode My Brain. Not just decoding the brain of the child, but decoding the brain of the adult and the parent. Now, those two in the family entire context, also decoding how the communication will happen, eating habits will form, learning will happen, the lifestyle will happen. All this can be mapped, and all this, once it's mapped and it's right in front of you, that's it, things get solved. I remember of a case, this young boy who had a single parent, and this young boy was very emotional. He would connect to everybody, very social, loved in the community, wanted to be a cricket coach, wanted to be a cricket commentator. So he wanted to do this commentary and very passionate. And here is the mother who's very, very, very rational, very data oriented, very quantitative in calculations and everything. Single parent, stressed parent, and she always felt that cricket commentary is difficult as a career, and there would always be this tiff between both of them, saying that, no, I would like to pursue this, and the mother says, no, you have to go into medicine or engineering or something concrete, because this is not going to help you. And when we gave them the brain assessments, the Decode My Brain assessments, when we sat with them and say, hey, look at your brain only operates from numbers. But poor guy, this young boy of ours, does not understand numbers. What he loves is connection. He loves to talk about people. He loves to make a commentary, and he's done that in his school. He's such a popular guy, around. So this is where the understanding differences in opinion come in, and we just have to make them sit on the same table and let the brains then understand each other from the neuroscience perspective, not from that I as a child is trying to understand my parent, or a parent is trying to understand the child.
You have mentioned that practicing gratitude regularly may even reduce biological aging by around 3.28 years. How can parents express gratitude to their children in simple, everyday ways? Also, what is the science behind gratitude, ma'am, and how does it positively affect the brain and parent-child relationship?
We just have an upcoming book which we have written on parenting, and I'm extremely passionate about gratitude, because we had a 500-page book which we wrote on gratitude and all the benefits of gratitude, and how gratitude sort of rewires your frontal cortex, allows your threat system, what we spoke about, to be calm, makes your entire brain coherent. So a lot of benefit comes from gratitude. Now, gratitude is not a difficult practice, so anybody, like a 3-year-old to a 80-year-old can practice. So my co-author Monica Single-G, with whom we have written this book, they in their organization Smiles have multiple people practice Shukrana or the gratitude, and even young kids are practicing it, old people are practicing it. And what has happened in that process is, when we study these people, they're generally happy people. Their stress levels are low, their blood pressure is low. They are the people who, despite situations, they don't get bothered by it. They are not depressed. They are always in the happy state. So gratitude itself is a great way to shift your state of mind, state of heart, your state of operations of your frontal cortex, and not difficult. So for example, a parent and child both together can do it, anchoring to certain tasks. For example, before I sit to take my meal, I am going to say a gratitude prayer. Not just that I have food, but let us backtrack it. And that is the beautiful thing I learned from my co-author as well. Where did this food come from? From the farmer. Where is this farmer, who's in, let's say, a small little place in Tamil Nadu, near Chennai or wherever, where is that seed coming from? The seed is coming from a particular source. How did the seed grow? Because the rains came in. So let us now be grateful to each of the things which is giving the food on the plate. If there was no supermarket, how would this be stored? If there was no middleman who would take from the farmer to this, how would the food come on the plate? So all this becomes like a gratitude, game or an exercise by which the children can now feel a deeper this into gratitude, because we are not even aware, we take things so casually. For example, I'm wearing this particular suit. Now, where did this cotton come from? Who was responsible for it? Have I ever thanked the simple things that I have, in my life? Now, children, for example, can also be asked that, let's say, I am having a bottle of water. Now, for example, this cork goes away and I have this bottle alone. Would this bottle be of any use? Literally no, because it will go somewhere and the water will come out. But this one is the most important part. Have we ever thanked the little cap which is there because of which the bottle is useful? So these little things which make them, wonder that, oh yes, I came into this door. Have I thanked the knob of that door? Because if there was no knob which opened the door, I wouldn't be here. That little door, this is such a big thing. Otherwise, the door is this big, but that little thing is allowing me to enter the door. So playing playway method, making them write little things, giving them stories about how gratefulness is making people's change. Even simply, let's say their question papers, right? So if they have to give an exam, if they go into the state of gratitude, that I am thankful that I have a pen to write, I have a hand to write, I have a brain to think, and I am capable, I've already got a tuition for that. That itself will change the state of mind. So, gratitude, I think, is every breath can become gratitude.
So beautiful, man. So nice. How can parents consciously use water as an emotional and energetic tool to manifest deeper connection, healing, and secure attachment with the children, especially when Veda Austin in her book, The Secret Intelligence of Water, says that water is not merely a resource, but a source that listens to human intention and emotions.
Absolutely. Water is one of the elements. Water is one of the major five elements, and 70% of our body is water. 70 to 80% of the brain is basking in the CSF, which is water. So water is everywhere. I mean, water is something which has healing properties, but provided we respect that and provided we are aware about it. So I was just sitting across in flight just off late when I returned last week here, and there was this young kid, 8-year-old, who was sitting next to me, and we started to have conversations. And the mother, of course, recognized me and said that, we look at your videos and this, etc., and all. And we were just chatting, and this young boy was patiently listening. So he asked me a question: is there God? And I said, wow, that's a very nice question. What makes you to no, I think you are a brain doctor, right? So you will know better because your brain is good, so you can answer me that question: is there God? So I said, is there sun? And he says, yes. I said, what if this sun goes out for, let's say, 1 minute? What will happen to this world? So he says, no, 1 minute is way too big, because even few seconds the sun is out and everything will stop to function. So I said, can't I say that sun is God? um uh, he says, yeah, possibly, because if this goes away, then nobody exists, right? So I said, that force, that power, when it is there, without which nothing can function, you can equate it to God, higher consciousness, to sun. And I said, don't we salute sun? Why do we salute sun? Because of sun, you and me are here, right? Because of that, the plant grew, and then it gave fruits, and we ate, and we are alive. What if I don't eat food? How long can I survive? And he immediately said, no, without food, after a few weeks, possibly you will not survive. After a few months, definitely you will die. I said, so indirectly, am I not living because of the sun? And he says, yeah, that makes sense. So exactly the same way it is for water, right? So you can extrapolate all this kind of talks and dialogues with your children, and ultimately make them realize that, yes, this is an element because of which I am alive, I am surviving. Now, as a healing tool, I strongly feel that everybody should not drink water from these plastic bottles, because that is dead water, literally. So first of all, you should have glass bottles. You should energize the water, because the dead water, stagnant water, has no energy. It is just merely, and Veda Austin has beautifully shown that water carries memory. So the moment the petri dish and an image is put in, the water takes that image, and when it's micro frozen, it shows the image. So every person who's watching this also should watch that Veda Austin's trial and the secret intelligence of water, which means water is carrying those memories. So if a water has such a great power, then that same water can also be used for healing. I can tell the water before going to sleep that, gratitude prayer, and you can nourish me. So a child can be told that let's together, have the water prayer, and then we take the water together. And that's how the children, can also get the habit that every single time I would do that prayer and then respect that element. Otherwise, without that element, life does not exist.
How do meditation, prayer, mantra chanting, and mindful spiritual practices help in calming emotions and reducing stress or reactive behavior within families? From a neuroscience perspective, can these practices improve emotional bonding with the child and regulate the limbic system?
So, firstly, limbic system is that same amygdala, which is hyperactive, which is scanning for threats, always ready to fight, flight, and be fearful. So, the answer to your question is yes. Now, what is it doing? So you are praying together, you're chanting together, you're offering an arti together, you're doing any ritual together. You are basically activating your parasympathetic nervous system or vagus nerve, and vagus nerve is the longest nerve in the body, very very powerful. So the moment your vagus comes in, you're calm, you're quiet, your prefrontal cortex is active, your heart is now resting, your breath is nice and stable. So all that allows you to think clearly, all that allows you to regulate your emotions deeply. You don't feel fearful, you don't feel angry. So all that allows the entire family to be living in that peace, not in pieces. Now today there's a beautiful joke which says that today's time, what is a joint family? If husband and wife only remain together, that itself is joint family. So in the good old days, we had so many people, all the emotions were different, every practice was different, and all those practices were creating that multiple stimulations of the vagus nerve. So in general, as a generation, we were much stabler generation. We were not hyperactive, we were very calm, we were very composed, we never got affected by small little things. But now look at it, we lost all those practices. So as a generation, the coming generation is very edgy, is very hyperactive, is very impulsive, is very angry in general, is very addictive. And that is because we never trained or entrained or had the coherence of development of this nervous system.
And you have spoken a lot with Brian Weiss about past lives and soul connections, ma'am. Many parents feel that their child is emotionally connected to them beyond this lifetime. Do you think some parent child bonds are carried from previous births? Can past life connections influence a child's emotions, behavior, or attachment with parents in this life?
It's a beautiful question again, Rajalakshmi. We don't know past life. Only the little evidence that we have is many lives, many masters from Dr. Brian Weiss himself. I was lucky to have been trained under his guidance for past life. But I strongly feel that as a therapy, a past life should be used only in certain situations with phobias and really difficult problems of psychiatric illness, etc. So it's a great therapy for that purpose. But whether do we have any evidence that am I connected to my parents because of some past life and all? Well, the science answer is no. But if we go a little bit deeper spiritual into this conversation, then we are all not just this body, physical body. We have a memory cloud, which we call the morphic cloud. So in that morphic cloud is our impressions, is our vasanas, our tendencies, our desires, our beliefs, and that is what is attracting the life that we have. So as that higher consciousness soul that I am, which is having those memories, I may be exposed to a certain parent where I can fulfill those desires, fulfill those tendencies. And that is what we have learned from our mythology, right? That is what we have learned from all the Indian characters that we had, may it be Mahabharata, may it be Ramayana. So, yes, to some extent, we as children choose the parents. We as children come in a family where it is for us to fulfill those desires bilaterally, both sides, even for parents to choose that kid and all. But how far is it scientific? Answer, we don't know. Is there some correlation of some kind? Well, the answer is yes, because the genetic blueprints always runs in families as generations. So if I have migraine, for example, my great grandfather may have it, my grandparents may have it. So I may carry those genetic imprints also, which itself becomes a sort of a tie, a bond, a strong connection, an energetic thing which is going on for now currently until great grandparents and great great grandparents. I know it's generation, but what if I just extend it for years and years and years together? That is what essentially is getting into the lives and lives and lives, and that is what we call past lives, right?
Amazing, amazing, ma'am. Is there any simple morning and night routine that parents can follow to build a stronger emotional connection and a more peaceful relationship with their children? And also during the nighttime theta brainwave stage, how can calm communication, loving words, and emotional bonding positively influence and strengthen a child's brain?
So generally, the children between 0 and 9 are in theta largely, but the night the theta accentuates, theta increases. So the power of the theta, which means the doorway to subconscious beliefs, values, patterns is open. When the door is open, you can just easily come in and come out, go out. And that's why three important things for the night ritual. The first important thing is always explaining if there was any disturbance for the entire day. For example, there was a not so good dialogue between the parents, there was some fight of some kind, rationalizing that at night so that the child does not sleep with that feeling. The child is not sleeping with that sense. The child is trying to rationalize that, oh, this was the reason why the parents were not happy, this got wrong. So that is number one. Number two is spending in that subconscious theta, because that subconscious theta, now if I come and tell you just speak truth, it will be too dry for you. But if I make it into a story of how truth saves you, how if I am giving some characters, because children think in images. So when these stories and everything is formed, there's multiple brain patterns which are going on. So their entire brain is engaged. So in the form of a story, you now give the value of speaking truth. That's number two. And number three, when they are in this state, it's very easy for us to also caress them, give that little bonding love, and then talk to them about the wrongdoings that they did. If I just park my limbic system for the wrongdoing that they did until night, I have saved a lot of things. If I would fight at that point in time, there will be amygdala to amygdala, threat. Two threats, double the outcome threat. If I was quiet at that time, I used my frontal cortex, I did not blast, I was not a volcano. Now, later in the evening, I tell the child that, look, you threw this tantrum at me, which was not required because that was wrong on your part. They are much in a better state than what you would have done it in the morning or the evening. So correction, that night connection and correction applies much better at night. Now just the opposite thing when they are waking up. First of all, very important that parents give some love as they wake up, because finally they are in that state of days. It's not suddenly their brains don't start to function. So again, they are in that elongated theta. So a little bit of gentle care is very important in the morning. It is very important in the morning to have this practice where you just go to the sunlight, and as I was narrating the story of the sun, make them practice that, yes, that is the light because of which we are living, that is the life because of which we are living. Indirectly, you start to make them love nature. So very, very important to do that practice. And third very important practice, particularly in the morning, is to tell them one affirmative statement or something, one good thing, which now stays for their entire day. Otherwise, what happens is, utho, utho, jaldi, jaldi, you have to go grab your food, and then the bus is coming and this is coming. So you are actually creating stressful brains. You are actually creating beta brains. Morning from theta, your job is to create an alpha brain. And in that alpha state, give one command, give one affirmation, give one thing which is a beautiful thing what the child will understand. Now, for example, forget the child for a moment, but today morning, the statement that I read for myself, the whole day I'm carrying it. The statement that I read was is an interest. Worry is an interest you pay for the loan that you haven't even borrowed. So that sort of carries down for the whole entire day. So these are important things for morning and for evening routine.
How about the teenagers? Does it apply the same for the teenage?
The teenage, you'll have to friend them, so your entire thing has to be changed a little bit as compared to the strategy that you do for under 13. So for them, you will have to ask about what is their opinion, what do they think about this thing, their self identity. So multiple times it comes on to making them the kingpins of the entire discussion. You are not dictating, you're just starting the conversation, being a catalyst, and then let them talk. So that should be with the teenagers.
You once mentioned the idea of a billionaire drink for better focus and health. Is there any simple drink or daily food habit you would recommend for parents to improve brain health, emotional balance, and calmness in their busy lives?
I wish I was aware about all this when I was a kid. So I used to hate this haldi ka doodh. Like parents would come and say, "Oh, turmeric milk," and I would just hate it. But today, when I read about its benefits, when I see those benefits, when I see it in the lab that these are so amazing, small little things such as curcumin and your turmeric and saffron, and what a beautiful way it produces antioxidants. So it's calming my nervous system also. It is protecting my brain cells also. So in one way or the other. Now, if I go ahead and straight away come to a kid and say, hey, drink this milk because it is beneficial to you, it's not going to happen like that, right? So I have to create a story around it. I have to make it fly with their little brains around, right? So in some way or the other, making them have all these little Indian spices and components in one way or the other. It can be in the form of, okay, come, let's cook something which has these properties. So let's do the research, which kind of an ingredient has this property. Let's make a drink which will be very good for vitamin C. Let's make a drink which is very good to protect the kidneys. They have to do it themselves. Once they come up with that, once they tell you on the table that saffron has this property, because now they researched it, now it's be easier for you to say, okay, come, let's have the saffron drink. So it is always about playing it right. It is always about not allowing our opinions and our feelings and our beliefs onto them. Our fear should never be transferred, and that is what majority of the parenting entire this is, that I was insecure in my childhood that I did not get a good school to go, so I put you in a good school. I was insecure that I did not have a transport, and that's why I give you the best of the transport. But that was you. That was your generation, that was you. But the new generation, the new beings are a totally different breed altogether. So always respect that. Don't transfer your beliefs, your fears, or your dreams into the child. The child has not come to you, the child has come through you. That is what we often forget.
Yes. Okay. Thank you so much, ma'am. Let's go for a rapid fire round. Let me start with the questions. One parenting habit every child emotionally needs today.
Hug. A hugging between the parent and the child, very, very important. High oxytocin dose.
Beautiful. One thing parents should immediately stop saying to the children.
Don't do this, which means you are just giving a negative command and it is not helping to wire your brain.
Okay, good. Brain food or soul food, which matters more for a child's development?
I think for a child, it's brain.
Perfect. What damages a child more, criticism or emotional neglect?
Answer is both. A criticism, if it is wrapped in the connection, in the love, it's okay, And of course, the criticism has to be wrapped in identity and without damaging the identity of the child. Then both are okay to some extent.
One powerful way to calm an angry teenager.
Breathe. We have to just start to entrain, because there is no other way to calm the anger down without breath work. So breathing, breathing, and breathing. And in fact, when we have these T1 Superbrain classes and all, we allow them to discover that if you do this, see where the breath is going. If you do this, see where the breath is going. When they experiment, again, the question comes is hands on, hands on, hands on. So the older the kids, you have to give everything hands on. The younger the kids, it's hearts on. So that is how we should be tackling.
A simple practice every family should do before bedtime.
Outrightly gratitude. The family that prays together stays together. The family that prays together also grows together.
One thing modern parents are overdoing with children today.
Overdoing a lot of things. First of all, screens are the most overdoing this, and I think the second one which parents are overdoing is over caring. What is not required. In the good old days, none all of us fought our own battles. We never went to the school protecting. There was nobody who came to my school, my parents saying that, oh no, no, Shweta didn't do that. There's no, not a such. Let them fight their own little battles. Set them free. Keep an eye, be mindful, be watchful, but don't live their life.
Perfect, perfect. In one sentence, what does a child truly need most from a parent?
Psychological safety. That come whatever be, I am there. My parents are there with me. That's all that a child needs.
As a neurologist, what is one thing about the human brain that emotionally touched or changed you personally?
I think my own brain when was scanned, and with the long relationship which I had with my childhood friend, and when she left me, and I was in that state of despair, when I looked at my own brain, which was almost equal to that of an heroin addict, that was the life-changing moment for me. That this is the effect of attachment which can go wrong, and that was also the time, a big aha moment for me, that if the brain can get into that direction, it can also come out. So having that neuroplasticity, having that anchoring, that the brain is very modular and you can change it. And today, after years of this, I love experiments where I can just alpha peak, okay, I can tune it up. I want a little more gamma, okay, we can do it. So having the brain sort of not controlling you, but you controlling the brain is the best thing for me, at least in my life.
Parenting in one sentence?
Gratitude. Not gratitude, but gratitude. It's together growth for both.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much for your time. And this conversation was not just informative, but also deeply meaningful and emotionally enriching. We are truly grateful for your insights, wisdom, and beautiful energy. Thank you once again for sharing your experiences and knowledge with us. It was an absolute pleasure and honor to have you with us today. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you to each of you, wherever you are. You are, as a parent, you are not just having a child, you are having a potential, a person which can change the globe, the planet, and world at large. So, in that little brain of that child, you can do magic with it, and people can remember that brain immortally, like how we remember Einstein and how we remember all Shankaracharya and so many such from various traditions. So, that is you, that is the power which you as a parent carry. So use that power wisely and do everything it takes to make the world a better place. Thank you.
Sure.
Shukran.
Thank you so much, ma'am.